As I was reading through part of the Gospel of Mark last week, I paused, as I almost always do, at the story of Jesus healing Bartimaeus' blindness. It's found in Mark chapter 10, verses 46 through 52. They came to Jericho. As he and his disciples and a large crowd were leaving Jericho, Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting by the roadside. When he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout out and say, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." Many sternly ordered him to be quiet, but he cried out even more loudly, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Jesus stood still and said, "Call him here." And they called the blind man, saying to him, "Take heart, get up, he is calling you." So throwing off his cloak, he sprang up and came to Jesus. Then Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said to him, "My teacher, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Immediately he regained his sight and followed him on the way. We find stories of Jesus healing blindness and other ailments in each of the Gospels. But I think it's Bartimaeus' story that intrigues me and captures my attention the most. It's one of the few stories in which the person being healed is named. Most people Jesus heals are simply referred to generically, such as the centurion, or by their condition, such as the man who was born blind. But Bartimaeus has a name, and his name means son of Timaeus. He is, or at least was, part of a family. He is someone's child. He's the son of Timaeus, which in Greek means the son of honor. This blind beggar sitting on the side of the road, overlooked and dependent on the generosity of others, is someone's honored son. As Jesus came to Jericho, Bartimaeus must have known that something out of the ordinary was going on, because he could hear more people than usual coming into the city in preparation for the Passover. Bartimaeus may have heard stories about Jesus healing people in other towns. Word about such things travels pretty quickly. And so when Bartimaeus heard that Jesus was walking along the road without any warning, he begins to shout, saying, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." When I read this story, I always imagine the exchange that took place that day, and I wonder what the words sounded like as Bartimaeus spoke them. "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." Were they spoken with confidence that this traveling teacher would in fact show him mercy? Was his voice shaky and trembling, anticipating what might come next? He must have known how those around him perceived him. He must have heard the whispers, the scrambling of feet to the other side of the road when he called out for help on the other days when he found himself sitting at the city gates. And I think it's interesting how the crowd responds to his shouting. They simply try to silence him. Many sternly ordered him to be quiet, Scripture tells us. We might be quick to judge the disciples or the crowd for not seeing what is right in front of them, for misunderstanding so many teachings of Jesus over and over. But I imagine we can all identify with this crowd in one way or another. When we step into an unknown situation, when we meet a person who is unfamiliar with us, or someone who moves through society a little bit differently, often our fear and our anxiety take over. Our compassion starts to dwindle, and our field of vision gets narrower and narrower. There is an old wisdom story that goes like this. Once upon a time, late at night, a man came out of a restaurant to find his friend crawling around on his hands and knees under a nearby street lamp. Concerned, he asked, "Friend, are you all right? Do you need help?" His friend responded, "I am all right, but I've lost the key to my house. Could you help me look for it?" Grumbling, the man lowers himself onto the hard street and begins to crawl around. After what seemed like hours of searching, he straightened his aching back and said, "My friend, I've looked everywhere within 30 feet. Are you sure you lost your keys here?" And his friend answered him, "Oh no, actually, I think I lost them about a block away." And the man scratched his head and said, "My friend, why did you have us spend our time searching here?" And the friend responded sincerely, "The light here was better under this street lamp." I love this story because it gently and humorously encourages us to be compassionate about the shortcomings of our shared humanity. It reminds us how important it is to remember that there are some things we have to miss and search for before they can be found. Whenever I hear this story, I can't help but smile, a smile of recognition. But then the deeper questions start to come. How many times have I missed what mattered most, missed that bigger picture, because I was focused on the wrong thing? How many times have I avoided the uncomfortable and unknown places or people, missing the opportunity for meaningful relationships or insights? Instead of rebuking this crowd that just doesn't quite get it, doesn't quite have the right vision yet, Jesus shows them how to practice hospitality. They want Bartimaeus to go away. And Bartimaeus calls out a second time, even more loudly, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And over the noise of the crowd, he is still able to be heard. And Jesus reassures that crowd that is wanting him to go away, saying, "Call him here." And the crowd then calls out to the blind man, saying, "Take heart, get up, he's calling you." And scripture tells us that Bartimaeus' response was immediate. He threw off his cloak, he sprang up, and he came to Jesus. Then Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" And Bartimaeus responds, "My teacher, let me see again." Jesus responds to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." And immediately Bartimaeus regained his sight and followed him on the way. Bartimaeus did not want the things of life that would set him apart from others. He did not ask for special treatment or power. He didn't even ask for a large sum of money or resources that would have made his life easier. He simply wanted to see again. He wanted clarity. He wanted the one thing that would bring him back into community with those around him. The one thing that could restore his relationships and restore him more fully into the society in which he lived. A society that, much like ours today, was not always friendly to outcasts or beggars or people who were blind. The question that I have been pondering this week as I have thought about this story, and the question that I offer to you: how would you answer Jesus' question? What do you want me to do for you? It might be that you know the answer immediately, something that has been on your heart for years. Or maybe it's a question that requires a time of reflection. Because this is a question that invites us to go deeper into our own hearts and minds and spirits than maybe we're used to going on a regular basis. It's a question that challenges us to step into a place of our own pain and need and fear. Answering this question invites us to consider what it is that would cause us to throw off our cloak and follow Jesus. It invites us and maybe even requires us to let go of some of the control that we like to think we have. It invites us to discover a sense of mystery and wonder about life, in which sometimes the only answers we have are actually questions. In order to answer Jesus' question, we must also be ready to ask ourselves, do we really want to see? Do we really want to see other people and ourselves with our hearts? Because this kind of seeing is not without risk. If we really want to see, then we must be willing to change and to allow others to change us. We must be willing to see the reality of our lives, the things we've done, the things we've left undone, who we are and who we are not. Do we really want to see the needs of our neighbors or those who may be on the margins of society? Do we really want to see the injustices of the world? Do we really want to see who Jesus is and not just who we wish or want him to be? What do you want me to do for you? Jesus asks. I hope you'll take a little bit of time this week to consider how you would respond to this question. And once you've done that, to take some more time to consider how you will respond once you discover your answer. Because questions like this ask us to change, sometimes in small ways, sometimes in significant ways. What do you want me to do for you? Take good care, and peace to you this week. Amen.